The eye in the sky. Big Brother. His is a secret world, and the biggest secret is we no longer have any. I thought I had a secret. I planned to play hooky and spend the afternoon at the track, but I'm the one who got hooked. A phone call at home from Pete Flannery. I'd known Pete for a dozen years. 2 Pulitzer Prizes had earned him a reputation as one of America's boldest journalists. He'd asked me to meet him in public, which meant he wanted to talk in private. I spent many a night with Pete, and if they handed out prizes for drinking, he would have been a Nobel laureate. I'm not gonna lie to you, I like a drink now and then. But with Pete, it was always now. Yeah, it was a great day for waiting. The leaves were turning in Central Park, and on the phone, it sounded like Pete had turned a new leaf himself. He was living in a place called Sobriety Haven, a halfway house for recovering addicts. He said he was working on a hot story, his first in years. I was pretty hot myself. The only story I wanted to hear from Pete was why the hell he stood me up in the park. So I went to Sobriety Haven to find out. Excuse me. Could you tell me where Pete Flannery's room is?
It's right down the hall.
Thanks. I found Pete's room, but when I did, Pete had had one shot too many. Booze hound hasn't been born who hasn't thought about corking his life with a bullet to the belly. But Pete's suicide smelled worse than a beer garden tent the morning after Mardi Gras. I smelled a fraud. But if this was a suicide, I was Tommy Tune.
Smells like you started drinking again. Bourbon.
Pete drank scotch.
Mike, if you're gonna kill yourself, doesn't much matter what blend of booze you're swilling.
I don't buy it. You're gonna shoot yourself in the chest, most people do it with their thumbs.
You know something, you're right. Gun falls in her lap or between their legs.
Right.
Why would anyone want to kill this poor rummy?
That's what I'll find out.
Well, I gotta find out his next of kin. You got any names for me, Mike?
You got a sister in Boston, Gabby. I can call her. Whose stuff is this?
Roommates? Fishman is in the hallway.
AA is a 12-step program to recovery. I was embarking on a program of discovery. And step 1 was a chat with Pete's roomie, Fishman.
Okay.
You Fishman?
Well, who wants to know?
Mike Hammer. I was a friend of Pete's.
He never mentioned you.
That's funny. He never mentioned you either. Want to tell me what happened?
You tell me you found him.
When was the last time you saw Pete?
At breakfast, and he was alive, okay? He was writing. He asked me to let him have the room for a while.
Writing what?
I don't know, but, you know, it must have been hot because he kept all his notes and stuff in his backpack. I mean, he never let that out of his sight.
He had a backpack.
It wasn't in there?
Skip?
Oh, man. I knew that story was going to get him into trouble. You know, I feel it.
What?
Did you guys find a backpack?
Not yet. We're still searching the room.
Okay, thanks. Who else knew that Pete was writing a story?
I don't know, and I don't want to know.
Oh, an inquiring mind. Even at a halfway house, you have to walk all the way to meet the truth head on, or you don't even get halfway home. I had a strong hunch that hiding behind one of these doors was the real story of Pete Flannery's murder. She heard me knocking, but I couldn't come in. I'd have to wait until the truth came out of hiding. If I'd known what was waiting for me back at the office, I might have tried hiding myself.
I'm not here to play games, kid.
Let me guess. You're here on official business?
Is there any other kind?
You Mike Hammer?
Didn't you read the name on the door, pal?
Jack Blake, FBI.
Oh, your photo makes you look puffy.
So start eating salads.
Good.
Need to speak to you alone.
All right, children, take 5.
Pete Flannery. You were gonna meet him?
Unfortunately, a bullet met him first.
What was the meeting about?
Amway products, specifically deodorants.
We're interested in the story he was working on.
Apparently, somebody else was also interested.
We know your buddy got his hands on some pictures. We want him back.
What kind of pictures?
Matter of national security.
No, pal, it's a matter of murder, specifically Pete Flannery's.
That's what happens when people stick their noses where they don't belong. Call me when you're ready to talk, Mr. Hammer.
I love it when guys with guns call me Mr. Hammer.
And I just love it when people like you withhold evidence. You'll be hearing from us.
I'll hold my breath. Most people get torn up by the loss of a loved one. Gabby had lost her brother, and I'm afraid my hospitality was a poor consolation prize.
I really appreciate this, Mike. I don't think I could stand staying in a hotel room all by myself after seeing Pete in a morgue. But then again...
Well, that's why they call it a mortgage. Don't worry, Gabby, you can stay here just as long as you want.
Why would somebody kill Pete?
Pete ever talk to you about a story he was working on?
There was something about a big brother.
Big brother? But you don't have an older brother. I thought there was just you and Pete.
Yeah, well, everybody has this big brother. This is something he sent to me for safekeeping. Is he writing this on spec, or did he have a contract? Pete have a contract? Do you know how many times he'd promise a story and then drink away the advance?
He ever mentioned someone to you named Lucinda Casher?
No.
How about a girl named Susan?
There was a Susan at the halfway house. She was a friend.
Close friend?
Like, I can't believe he's dead. I mean, no, not like this. 1,000 nights I'd wait for the phone to ring, you know, and somebody'd call, found him dead in an alley somewhere, or flop house. I mean, why would somebody do this?
Gabby.
He was doing so good.
Listen, I know this is tough for you, darling, but you gotta know this. I'm gonna do everything I can to find out whoever killed him. And that's a promise. I was glad I could offer Gabby my shoulder to cry on. But if I was going to keep my promise, I had to put my shoulder to the grindstone. So I went back to Sobriety Haven, where I hoped to grind some answers out of Susan Cornish.
Pete was the best listener I'd ever met. My only real friend here. You know, he never judged people. I shared my sickest secrets with him.
Sickest secrets?
Yeah. We have a saying here, you're only as sick as your secrets. I unloaded all mine on Pete. Didn't even blink.
Did Pete unload his on you?
That's 50-50. That's the deal.
Okay. I'll make you a deal. You tell me Pete's secrets and I'll nail his killer.
No. No, I couldn't do that to him.
Susan, Pete is dead. Do you want his killer to walk?
Look, What's shared between drunks in these rooms stays in these rooms.
Or on these beds.
Get the hell out of here.
I'm sorry. That was out of line.
I wish I could help you.
Susan might have been reluctant to talk, but the hairball in the hall, Fishman, was a walking filibuster.
I've been waiting for you, man. I mean, the feds just questioned me for an hour, all over me.
What'd you tell him?
Them? Oh, nothing.
Good.
I mean, they're the enemy, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, they probably killed him, you know, and they do it too, you know. I mean, it's not in the papers, but they do it. You know, they don't know any other way.
Well, I know another way. Cigarette?
No, dude. That's how the government controls us. What kind of gun is that?
45, why?
Black Ops were those, man. Who are you? You're one of them. You're one of them.
Hey, relax, friend. What are you packing here, man?
Leave me alone.
Hey, you want to hide something, you ought to stick in your hair. Now, listen, I am through playing with you, pal. Where did you get these? You get these from Pete?
Yeah.
Where'd he get them from?
I don't know. All I know is he met some foreigner. Trevor Berkeley.
When was that?
I don't know. 2 days ago. No, 3 days ago.
Who's Berkeley?
I don't know. One of them.
Do yourself a favor. Buy yourself a weed whacker and trim that mop. Thanks. I might have knocked the wind out of Fishman, but the pictures I ripped off him put the wind back into the sails of my investigation. What did high-tech government satellite photos have to do with Pete? I hoped I wasn't heading down a blind alley. What for, pal?
Top floor, please. You're very kind.
Be careful with that thing, pal. You can put somebody's eye out. I could see this was one case that wasn't going to be open and shut. When the fog lifted, I found myself staring down the barrel of a gun. My gun in Maya's hands.
Wake up, Mike! Mike, wake up!
Maya! Oh,
Oh, what's happening? I heard a shot.
give me Betsy.
You should don't leave it on the floor in the first place. Nobody can pick it up.
Somebody did. Did you see a blind man running down the hall?
Mike, blind man, running on the hall. Have you been drinking?
I wish.
Something stink here.
Yeah, it's my blind date.
Come on, Mike. Blind man, blind date. What's going on, Mike?
Maybe I need glasses.
Oh, smell like a nuts.
Yeah, so you should know.
Come on, no personal comments.
Sorry.
No. It's almonds. I hate almonds.
No, it's not almonds. It's cyanide.
Cyanide? Mike, things getting that bad.
Oh, come on, Maya.
Oh, get out of here. You know, I have to go, you know?
Where are you going?
I gotta play tennis.
You play tennis?
Yes. He's young, good looking, and drug-free.
I didn't quite get the point of Maya's strange confession. The sound of music coming from my office made me suspect that something even more pointless awaited me. Sherlock Holmes once solved the mystery of the dancing men. The case of the dancing assistants was an act that was destined to close out of town. You mind if I cut in? What the hell is going on?
I got a date tonight, and Valdo's helping with some dance moves.
Well, keep it up. You'll be dancing in the streets tomorrow. Get this over to Skip Gleason, check it for prints. Anything on Lucinda Casher?
Yeah, she works for an outfit called Global Systems, and when I talked to the company about her, they clammed up.
I need an address. Anything on the internet on Trevor Berkeley?
Yeah, I found a profile in the morgue of the London Times. Berkeley started out in the South African Secret Service and he graduated to arms dealing.
Since when did he get a degree in that? What's he doing these days?
He runs an intelligence research company downtown. I tried to get you a list of his clients, but I ran into a dead end. What's in the envelope?
That's what I need to find out. Photographs.
Of what?
Your guess is as good as mine. Satellite photos, to be exact. A picture might be worth 1,000 words, but these two left me speechless and clueless. Spy satellites weren't the only things over my head. But if I was going to nab Pete's killer, I had to spy on the spies, and there's only one guy in my orbit I could turn to. My deepest source. A shadowy figure who went by the name of Jerry Ayers.
You're in way over your head, Mike.
What are they?
Satellite photos.
Of what?
You remember Desert Storm?
Sure.
Our military intelligence used eye-in-the-sky snaps like these to track the Iraqis.
Then Big Brother really is watching, huh?
You can bet your hat he is.
Can you tell what these specifically are?
The first one looks like farmland. Probably a chemical weapons lab hidden somewhere in the jungle. The Defense Department uses these for treaty verification. You see those massive shapes there?
Yeah.
Those are tanks and personnel carriers.
What's the location?
You don't want to know.
Can I get a half a dozen of these, wallet size?
These are worth big money on the open market. Information like this is power.
Thanks, pal. I owe you one.
And someday I'll collect.
Information is power. And I could use a little of both. What had Pete gotten himself into? I knew this. Susan Cornish had the power to unlock Pete's secrets. But I was hoping I could pick the lock.
What the hell do you want?
I want to know what the deal was between you and Pete.
We were pals. Straight up. Nothing more.
Where did your pal get the photographs?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, yes, you do. My guess is they were Pete's dirty little secret.
Oh, yeah? Why's that?
Because he was sky high about the story he was working on. He wanted to tell me about it. Those photos were satellite pictures.
What's that got to do with me?
You were part of the story. Now tell me I'm wrong. Only one slap per customer, sweetheart.
Come on, let go! You're hurting me!
Well, you're not helping me. Now listen, our friend Pete is dead, and I am not going to leave here until you tell me what you know about it. Now sit down. Tell me about the photos.
I stole them from my boyfriend and gave them to Pete.
Did your boyfriend have a name?
George. George Speaker.
Is he military?
No. Just a sadist. He used to beat the crap out of me. So I took his precious photos just to screw him over.
Where's Mr. Speaker now?
I don't know. And I don't care. I haven't heard from him since they put me in this place.
Does he know you're here?
No. That's why I want to stay here.
Okay. I understand. Listen, you find out anything, or you need my help, you call me. Anytime. Okay?
Thanks.
My next stop took me to a man who was in the habit of selling state secrets to the highest bidder. But there was nothing secret about his assistant, Sylvia.
Hello.
Hi.
What's your name?
Mike Hammer. I have an appointment with Trevor Berkeley.
You're the private eye. I'd love to try and do that.
I bet you look sensational in a trench coat.
I look even better out of one. Keep me in mind.
Don't mind if I do.
Mr. Hammer, Trevor Berkeley. Please, come in.
Hey.
Care for a drink?
No, thanks. Would you care for some photographs?
You're a very amusing man, Mr. Hammer. Now, for someone who witnessed his father's murder as a child, was a highly decorated Green Beret with 2 tours of Vietnam, has had an impressive 20-year career as a private investigator, and is currently 3 months behind in his rent. It amazes me that you've lasted this long with your lack of discretion.
I'm impressed. The only thing you left out was my favorite color.
Magenta.
Boy, you really are good. What can you tell me about Pete Flannery?
Mr. Berkeley, Lucinda Casher's here.
Tell her I'll be with her in a moment. I'm sorry, where were we?
Pete Flannery.
Oh, yes, the reporter who was murdered. It's quite a tragedy. I read about it in the newspapers. Now, about those photographs. If they are as sensitive as you alluded to in our telephone conversation, then it's a matter of national security. So I suggest you contact the relevant authorities. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have another appointment.
You mind telling me what I'm doing the rest of my day? Lucinda Casher was Berkeley's next appointment, but she was on my appointment list as well. The name in Pete's notebook now had a face to remember. Lucinda Casher? Mike Hammer.
I don't believe we've had the pleasure.
We had a mutual friend.
You had? I don't understand.
Pete Flannery?
I don't know anyone named Pete.
Well, that's funny. I found your name in his notebook. He was murdered last night.
Murdered? I'm very sorry.
Any idea how your name got in his book?
No. But I'd like to know how to get my name into yours.
I'll make a very big no. Sweetheart, may I borrow your pen?
Lucinda, please, we're running late.
Pleasure, Mr. Hammer.
Lucinda's name made it into my book, all right. My book of suspects. What I didn't suspect was another sad chapter unfolding back at Sobriety Haven. Fishman dropped in to drop off Susan's AA big book, only to discover that Pete's secrets were forever safe. Because Susan was on the ultimate bender. She was a dead drunk.
Oh, my God.
At last, her troubles were over.
They got her.
Mine were just beginning.
Oh, God. I saw the student hauling ass out of here.
What did he look like?
A freaky man. He was wearing a parka and shades. He didn't belong here.
When?
About an hour after you left.
Did you tell anybody about this?
No, man. They'll think I did it.
All right, here's what I want you to do. I want you to climb into bed, pull the covers over your head, and stay there. You got it?
Yeah.
Hiding under the covers was good advice, which I probably should have taken myself. But I had to face Gabby, who still wanted to know why her brother was killed. There was no way to pull the cover over what I had to tell her.
Hey,
Hey.
guess what? You're just in time for dinner.
Well, I'm afraid I don't have much of an appetite.
What happened?
Susan Cornish was murdered in her room at Sobriety Haven.
Oh, God.
That story Pete was working on must have been pushing buttons in high places. Now they're pushing back. We'll need your help, Gabby. Pete must have been... Well, he must have had some backup files somewhere. A disc, a hard copy, something.
There was nothing in his room at the shelter, but he did have some stuff in storage.
Really? I want you and Velda to check that out first thing in the morning. You read your cookies before you eat?
Oh. Well, that's what Pete and I always used to do. Here. Tradition. Mine says, smile is a frown turned upside down. Okay.
And mine says, whatever you do, don't eat the Moo Goo Gai Pan.
That's what I ordered.
Gabby's Chinese order may have been unfortunate, but my fortunes were about to turn. Later that night, I made a call and arranged another clandestine rendezvous with my friend Jerry Ayers. We met on a quiet street in Chinatown, where the Moo Goo Gai Pan wasn't the only thing suspicious. Hey, Jerry. It's a little late even for you, isn't it?
Big brother never sleeps, neither do I.
And how do you know when to call it a day? What do you got?
I found the source for those pictures you showed me. Global Systems.
I never heard of them.
And you never will. They're a covert operation, running eye-in-the-sky satellite surveillance.
Where do they work out of?
Tel Aviv, London, Seoul, and here. They set up a dummy operation over on the east side of town as a front.
Thanks, Jerry. That's great. Anything else?
Brazil's a lock-in for the World Cup.
I'll call my bookie.
You do that.
Chicken Little warned the sky is falling, but today the sky is watching. And I had my eye on Trevor Berkeley's Global Systems, a multinational peeping Tom.
Mike, you're gonna love this. Lucinda Casher makes $55,000 per year, which is 200 grand short of what she spent last year.
She should run for Congress.
Just got the phone with Skip. Prints on the cane came from a guy named George Speaker, ex-FBI.
George Speaker. Lucinda Casher was his ex.
And Susan Cornish was his ex-punching bag.
This guy's got more ex than a porn flick.
You got a home address for Mr. Speaker?
Well, apparently he lives in a P.O. box.
Well, if he has a dog, it better be a Chihuahua. Velda, go over and help Gabby look through Pete's stuff.
Okay, what are you gonna do?
I've got a date with the G-Man. Nick, you got a date with Trevor Berkeley. Grab your camera. Federal agent Jack Blake had tickled my ivories for info on Pete. Now I was calling the tune. Blake held the keys to George Speaker. When are you gonna get this piano fixed?
Oh, speaking of fixed, did you see the Jets game?
Hey, I won.
Then pay your tab.
I didn't win that much. Look, this key is dead.
Well, keep it that way, so people spend money on the jukebox.
Oh, man. Very good. People even knew I was speaking to you. Sit down. Okay. So,
Word to the wise, Mr. Hammer. Just keep a real low profile on this Flannery thing. Guys in D.C. are going crazy. They think it's another Aldrich Ames case.
I'll make it known. I want you to tell me about George Speaker.
And what do I get?
You get to be a hero. You give me what I need, I'll give you the photos.
George Speaker was an embarrassment to the Bureau. He was a drunk and a thief, and they bounced him.
He also liked to beat women. Where do you guys get your recruits from, anyway? Rikers?
Ooh. What never showed up in his file was excessive force charges.
Speaker'd get drunk and he'd hurt people. He shot an unarmed suspect once. Too bad we were able to justify it. Otherwise, we would have gotten rid of him a lot sooner. That's all you get.
That's all I need.
When do I get my photos?
When the killer's exposed. George Speaker was coming into focus. It wasn't a pretty picture. He'd screwed up his own life almost as much as Susan Cornish's. While I went to have a word with Speaker, Gabby and Velda took a plunge through Pete's belongings to see if there was something that didn't belong.
What about this?
You know, Pete really loved wearing that. I used to tease him all the time about looking like one of those foreign correspondents in those old black and white movies. Maybe I'll hold on to it. No, just give it away.
I'll give it to Nick. It'll make him feel like a real private eye. There's something in here.
What is it?
It's a cartridge to a zip drive. This has got to be the backup to all his computer files. Mike, wake up.
What's going on?
We hit the mother lode.
Huh?
Come see.
This is Pete's work.
He hid a zip drive cartridge in his trench coat.
I got a lot more than a P.O. box on Speaker. He's staying at Susan Cornish's condo in Queens, 33218 Woodhaven Boulevard.
Okay, good. Pete wrote a killer story. All roads led to George Speaker. Now I had the time, the place, and thanks to Pete, the means to find him. If I'd waited a second longer, I would have missed all the fireworks. Speaker was about to take his magical misery tour on the road. Without his speaking role, my whole case would have fallen apart. He was in the FBI, Federal Bureau of Intoxication. He liked his whiskey, all right. And when he took some time for the pause that refreshes, he gave me time to put my paws on Betsy and bring the issue to a head. His head. How would you like a .45 caliber Q-tip in your ear, pal?
Huh?
Since when do they let blind people drive, especially after they've been drinking?
What do you want from me?
You killed Pete Flannery.
No, I didn't.
You killed Susan. How come?
She stole my photographs. That stupid bitch. She took my photographs and she gave them to Flannery and she told him where I got them. They were my bread and butter, man. She said she was gonna give them back to me, but she never did.
Why'd you try to kill me?
It was nothing personal. I knew you got my photos from Fishman, and I figured if I got my photos back, then everything would be okay.
Where'd you steal them from to begin with?
You really want to know? I'll show you.
Nothing funny now. Nice and easy.
You know, maybe this ain't such a bad thing, huh, Mr. Hammer? I help you out, you help me out, you know? Because they're gonna get me. I know. That's why I wanted Susan to leave the country with me. But she said it was all over between us. That's how women are, you know, they break your heart every time.
Get out of the car.
What?
Get out of the car!
What?
George Speaker had spent his whole life playing with fire. Now he had gone from the FBI to the BBQ. After the premature cremation of George Speaker, I was left with a burning suspicion that Trevor Berkeley was Pete's killer. The dancing man returned with some gasoline to pour on the fire.
How was your date? Dance the night away?
She canceled on me.
How come?
She went to see Rent again.
Well, I hope you had a better time with Berkeley.
I did. I caught him on film talking to two Asian guys at the Fulton Street Market. Then he met some real babe in an Italian restaurant. They exchanged envelopes, started yelling at each other. Then she took off. I'll have the film in about an hour.
Take a look at what Pete shot.
Wait a second, these are the same guys. That's the same babe.
The babe is Lucinda Casher. The other guy is George Speaker. I made a list of editors for you to call. Tell them we've got Pete's story. It's for sale and we're holding an auction.
Okay, you got it.
Also call Skip Gleason. Tell him to meet me at Berkeley's as soon as possible and make sure he brings the cavalry. How do you get the goods on a secret agent who's got the goods on everybody else? You catch him holding the bag. I knew Trevor Berkeley was the rat, and now all I needed to send him packing was the cheese. Pete's backpack with computer and disk.
Good morning, Mr. Hammer.
Good morning, Sylvia. Hold my calls.
Mr. Hammer, you can't do that. What are you doing?
It's a secret.
If you're looking for Pete Flannery's backpack, you're wasting your time.
Suppose I am. I'm sure you're smart enough to get rid of it.
I should have been smart enough to get rid of you.
Well, you gave it a shot. You set me up on a blind date with George Speaker, and Georgie tried to give me a cyanide vaccine.
Just out of curiosity, how did you figure it out?
The moment you told me you read in the papers that Pete was murdered. That was a secret only the papers knew about. Pete's obituary called it a suicide.
I wonder what the paper's going to say about your death.
Well, congratulations, sweetheart. Add another notch on your belt.
Shut up and move over there. Move over there! You know, I just saved your life.
No. You just tried to save your own neck. You know, when Pete Flannery got a hold of your satellite photos, he knew he had the story of a lifetime. So you took his life. But what you didn't know when you killed him and got the photos back is that Pete had already made copies for himself. So when your ex, George Speaker, found out about your little spy game and decided he wanted in, you killed him too. But not before you took care of his loose end, Susan Cornish.
That's where you're wrong, Mr. Hammer. Don't you see? You're the loose end. The cops are going to find you and Berkeley dead in a tragic shootout after you came back here to avenge the death of your good friend Pete Flannery.
Cops are going to find you too, Lucinda.
A little knowledge was a dangerous thing for Pete Flannery. But too much knowledge was more than Trevor Berkeley and Lucinda Casher could handle. The moral of this case was clear. Don't keep secrets, or they'll carry you to your grave.
Mike, what the hell happened here?
Big brother just killed little sister.
What?
I'll tell you.
Who?
Them. You still want to be a private eye?
I think I need a drink.
No private place.
Dale? What the hell was that man talking about?
And to Pete, wherever he is. You know, this is a great story. You should be very proud of him.
I'm proud of both of you. Thank you, Mike.
I like that tune.
This one's on me.
Does that mean my tab is clear?
2 chances, Mike. Slim and none. Slim just left.
Want to dance?
I'd love to.
Pete's story went on to win him his 3rd Pulitzer, this time posthumously. Gabby and I took some comfort in having helped him do it. Now there was nothing left to do except dance to the music and hope that Big Brother wasn't calling the tune.